how is it possible to just manifest your person to be whatever it is that you want them to be?
That's easy.
So I've been pushing the envelope and researching instances where people were able to shift timelines overnight so dramatically that they noticed physical changes in their reality, like from one day to the next, in a way that is not possible, right? So like literally waking up in a reality where things are moved around, things are different, things that were there weren't there before, and even to the degree where the person retains the memory of the old timeline and also retains the memory of the new timeline. So like two effectively different worlds altogether overnight. There are not many instances of this, but obviously it's possible to do. Most people who report things like this, they didn't do it deliberately. They don't know how to do it on purpose. However, my mission here with you is to teach you how to accomplish a timeline shift that is that dramatic and for you to learn how to do it at will. There are things that you need to do on a vibrational level, and there's things that you also need to do on a mental level first to even allow those shifts to occur on the vibrational level. I'm going to teach you both. Timeline shifting very dramatically is all about focus. Manifesting at any rate is all about focus because your focus represents what you believe. So you need to really be ready and willing to focus sincerely on learning the content and getting very immersed in the concepts to demonstrate to yourself that you genuinely believe them. As you pay attention, focus, and ride the wave, you're going to find yourself just picking up more realizations. Your consciousness is going to expand just by osmosis, just by you relaxing and being here and receiving. Make sure that you watch the video all the way until the end for the practical application steps, but you need to get through the video to be able to properly apply. Whether you are looking to manifest a specific person or something completely different, it's all just part of the illusion. What I have noticed is that your ability to quantum leap and timeline shift overnight or instantly is up to the state that you're in. You can enter a supernatural state that I call bubble love, which is representative of you not believing in the illusion anymore. So when you follow and apply and practice the teachings and actively change your state and your focus, you literally are switching from a reality where you believe in the illusion to one where you have transcended the illusion. And you will feel this as a shift in your state. It feels magical. It feels powerful. And suddenly you're able to manifest these wild, out of this world things. And you feel so amazing. And even when you're not feeling amazing, you know how to get back to that state because you're primarily not believing in the illusion. This makes you very powerful. There are two phases to manifesting. The first phase is when you're still primarily believing in the illusion, and that doesn't mean what you know in your mind. It means what you know in your heart, what you're doing, what you're practicing. So when you're primarily believing in the physical world, you are finding yourself very unstable and finding that it's difficult for you to apply the practices and follow the directions. You keep falling into states where you feel doubt and despair and fear, and you're reacting to circumstances. That's phase one. When you're in phase one, the only concern that you have is to become stable. You are not thinking about trying to manifest the specific thing because you can't, because you're unstable. So you have to first gain stability. Phase two comes over you. It represents like you shifting into a different reality where you're not really believing so much in circumstances anymore. So you have a lot more creative control. This is when you're able to apply practices and specific manifesting techniques and get results and know that things are done and things work out in your favor. These two phases are really important for you to know because some of the things that I teach, like I teach you how to become lucid in the dream that we call reality, right? And I teach you in very specific ways using presence and transcending ego and how to do that and transcending circumstances. And all of this kind of work seems very boring, but it's vitally important to your ability to manifest and get stable. When you are occupying a perspective where manifesting feels difficult, or where you're perceiving that it's far away or that it's going to take time, that is only an illusion. So that right there should be the marker for you to know that you are in illusion. And I'm going to tell you ways to exit the illusion. The sooner that you go all in and completely receive and completely let go and completely apply, the sooner that you'll be able to transcend time and space and manifest what you want. Commitment, determination, and persistence is always required. I want you to look at it like this. You're not aiming to manifest a thing. You're aiming to manifest and maintain a state of being that allows you to manifest anything and everything that you want for the rest of your life. I want for you to aim to enter this supernatural state that I'm calling bubble love, because once you do, you will be able to manifest like never before. You'll be a supernatural version of yourself like never before. I have a lot of practice being in this state, and I've just noticed that other people are not really familiar with this. So I really want to teach it because it is freaking amazing. It really is supernatural. Stick with it, get committed. It takes time to receive the understandings and the realizations, but the less you get out of time by not thinking about time and by being in the moment, the less time you'll create. On the screen, I have put anything that is inspiring for you guys, anything that you can use as a point of reference to help illustrate what I'm saying, and success stories for you to enjoy. Since this is the first video in my timeline shifting series on YouTube, I'm going to begin with addressing phase 1, and in subsequent videos, we will continue with more advanced content. So click that like button, subscribe, and click that bell button and click all so that you will receive notifications when I come out with subsequent videos for this series. I'm going to give you a few things that I call keys, because these things are really, really key for me to remember and implement and embody when I want a timeline shift and when I want to do it now. Be sure to take notes and listen to this over again if you need to understand it better. One thing that's really important for you guys to understand is just because I tell you something or I tell you how to do a thing, just because I tell you how to timeline shift, just because I tell you how to quantum leap, just because I tell you how to manifest exactly, it doesn't mean that you're going to be able to do it. You could implement it, but what is keeping most people from, let's say, quantum leaping overnight or timeline shifting like right now, fast, in this very moment, is that you're not making the transition from learning to the actual embodiment of what you have learned, despite that you have the information that enables you to do so. So the key to going from knowledge to wisdom, which is the only way to get results, is to understand and know that it's not good enough for you to understand a concept on a mental level. It's not enough for you to know something but not be able to implement or do or act on that thing. You only know something when you are actually able to do it. If you're not able to do it, then you don't know it. There are a myriad of embodiment practices that you can do to help you get yourself into the state of being the version of yourself who is implementing that knowledge and turning it into wisdom, who is living the teachings and living the understanding of what you are learning. it's like a shift in your state, your perspective, a shift in your consciousness. There's many ways to do this. And this is something that I offer in Super Life. This is basically what I focus on the most in my community in Super Life, is the actual embodiment practices. I'll teach you guys everything on this channel, but the embodiment practices are what help you go from knowledge to wisdom so that you can get results. If you listen to this video all the way until the end, I'm definitely going to give you a lot of tips that you need in order to make that transition. But I'm bringing this up first thing so that you know that there is a difference between learning something on a mental level and actually implementing it and becoming it and doing it. There's a big difference. And you have to do the embodiment. You have to figure out a way to come into that state that is reflective of what you know and putting it into practice in order to feel it real, in order to manifest the reality that you want at will. So this is a lot different than just learning something. Now, a lot of you are probably pretty puzzled about this, and you're kind of wondering like, well, what are these embodiment practices? Well, like I said, there's a lot of ways to do this, and I personally try to make this really fun to help you get more absorbed in it and help you get more results. So if you find that you're doing a lot of learning about manifesting, but you're trying and you don't seem to be getting the results that you want, the embodiment practices are what you need. So if you want to dive in and commit to this and just know exactly what to do, join Super Life. That link is going to be in the description below. Okay, so I'm about to give you the first key, but please do not click off when I tell this to you because it is going to sound so boring. But I promise you, I have been a mad scientist at this for fucking years, and I'm telling you, this is essential. And you've got to master it to master your reality. So the first key is being present. And you know, it's funny because we hear this word a lot, but we just as often or even more forget what in the hell it means. And the reason I know that is because I watch everyone around me do that all of the time, and I also watch myself do that all of the time. And the key is having this information to reference so that you can like literally just bring it to the forefront of your awareness and be like, okay, this is what it means to be present. Okay? So I'm going to explain what it means to be present in the way that is most significant for me. See, this is something that you can talk about forever. Really, it's something that's been talked about almost since the beginning of time. And so there's many ways to talk about this. But, and this is something that we cover every single week in Super Life. We have, 50% of the curriculum are presence practices, because if you're not being present, it means that you're not embodying God state. And if you're not embodying God state, you're not going to be able to manifest what you want deliberately, right? So you're not in the identity that's going to allow you to have that creative control, right? So that's why being present is super important, because it helps you no longer identify with the limited thinking human ego, and it helps you to get into God state where you can manifest what you want deliberately, instantly now. Okay, so the way that I experience being present, or the way that it's most helpful for me, is I understand that the ego is always the part of me that is doing the talking. If there are words happening in the screen of like my mind, if there's words happening, the ego is talking. If there's thinking, if there's a story, if there's a feeling that is not like within the positive scale of feeling, then that is all ego. So I understand that which I am is the eternal observer, the one who has the final say. I am the one who has the ability to respond with awareness to the emotion that the ego is experiencing, to the story that the ego is experiencing, to any words, to any feelings, to anything that I'm seeing, I have the ability to respond to it. So that's including circumstances that are happening like within my consciousness, like feelings, stories, thoughts, and circumstances happening outside of my consciousness, or seemingly outside of my consciousness, right? Out there on the screen of space. I am the one. Presence is me knowing and being identified with me being the one who has the ability to respond to all of those things. I have the final say. I have the ability to soothe the ego. I have the ability to redefine the ego, or to take a definition that the ego has and change it. I have the ability to educate the ego, to mold and shift and change the ego. I have the ability to change my stories and my perspectives and my definitions in any way that I see fit. I have the final say. No matter what the ego says, no matter what story it says, no matter how it's feeling, that does not affect me as the eternal watcher, the eternal all that is, seeing it all. So I see myself as the soothing, responsive voice that defines and has final say. I am the only God. That presence behind the ego, that is God. So I am the only God. There is no other God but me creating in my reality, because everything is responding to me. There is nothing outside of me that is creating for me. Therefore, I am the only God. There is no other God but me. I have the final say. And if I perceive opposition, I am only perceiving myself, and to be present and aware means that I know that. So this is where the ultimate power comes. This is where ultimate stability comes from. This is where ultimate confidence comes from. And this is where the ultimate ability to manifest instantly, to quantum leap, and to timeline shift right now instantaneously comes from. This is where your ability to be a manifesting badass comes from. So, once I get present and in touch with that voice that is soothing and responsive and has the final say, there is no one to contend with that. There's no opposition outside of me. There's no God creating for me outside of me. So if I'm worried about something, is that thing God? The answer is going to be no, right? So this is what I call screwing your head on straight. You got to get your mind right and remember what you're choosing to believe about yourself and about this reality in order to set yourself up so that you can manifest what you want. Okay, or to put yourself back in the driver's seat so that you can do this. All right, so key number 2. Decide to live from your end and put yourself into a trance so that you're physically here, but you're really actually presently there in your end. So this is something that when I do this is like a process, and actually I sort of see this as a necessity to do on a daily basis, endlessly. Like every single day for the rest of your life, you should learn how to live basically in a trance so that you are always in your end and always ignoring circumstances. And so you're always in the driver's seat of creation and not taking the illusion seriously. You're taking God seriously, right? That's the way that it should be. So I have learned how to put myself in a trance and live from my end. And that ability is something that you gain and build. But the reason why key number 1 is key number 1, presence, is because you're not going to be able to do any of the other keys until you have got presence down. because presence is really about understanding your true identity as God and understanding how to get back to that when you have forgotten. So I'm just going to add one more piece right here to help you understand this mechanism. So basically the entirety of the work is you need to learn how to shift from your ego mind identity, which is part and parcel or the same as believing in circumstances and the illusion, right? So when you're in ego, you're in the illusion. The illusion has got you. You're not a creator. You're a victim. So when you learn how to shift out of that awareness and into your God identity, being in a trance-like state is going to be the automatic result. It's going to be easy for you to be in that creator mode and your end. This is why presence practices, and we do these practices with you. We don't just talk about it with you in Super Life, right? But that's why the presence practices are 50% of the curriculum. And this is after years of, seeing what people need. Okay, so because, living from your end 100% all of the time and living in a trance and stuff, like that's something that, again, like you cannot do that from ego because it just won't happen, right? So part of living from your end and to the point to where like you've put yourself in a trance and you're just in this other world, even though you're still here, is following your joy. You literally only care about what feels good to you. Anything that feels you got to be like much, much, much more discriminating about what you're watching, what you're listening to, the conversations that you're having, like the activities that you're taking part in. You got to be much, much more choosy and particular and just plain old, sensitive. You have to alert yourself, like you have to know how to identify when, that video doesn't feel like my end. That video feels like normal life as I know it. Normal is not okay, right? Your average, mediocre, normal human life, that is not what we're going for. Anything that feels like that is not it. You want to be in your end. You want to be flying high in that feeling of the wish fulfilled all of the time. And this is something that you can do. I've done this many times. Whenever I do this, it's like anywhere between 1 day to 2 weeks, something big is going to happen. And I know when I'm doing it. And literally, it's like, it's a choice. It's like you're going to feel bad in this moment. And then that's the moment when you decide to flip it. So you're either here or you're there. It's your choice. And you can choose either one. So choose your end. Okay, so again, this is something that comes with an elevated presence. Okay? The ability to be present and come back to presence is required for this. Okay, so when you're deciding to live from your end and put yourself in a trance-like state, it's like the only thing that matters is following your joy. That's the only thing that cares about. All of your decisions are based in living purely from your end. You literally don't give a fuck about anything else. That's the way that goes, because whatever you focus on, you get more of that. So this is being really, really, really as laser focused as you can get. And you will feel really good when you're doing this, and your world will shift very fucking quickly. Okay, it is worth it. This is the way that you want to live your life. Trust me. So soon, if you are focusing in this way, everything starts to feel good. Stay in that trance. All right, key number 3. This one is so juicy, and it's something that unless if you are like really like living from this state, you're like not going to know how to explain this stuff. So number 3 is expectation. You move from this consciousness of looking for what is your reality going to do and what is the people in your reality going to do to you. You go from that to this expectation where you start to know what is going to happen because you're being so deliberate and your vibration is in such a different place that you start to paste your positive expectation onto everything and everyone. You just start to know what is going to happen because you're living from this empowered, creative, deliberate space. And it's kind of like living like like one of my favorite things is I've got a secret and you don't have to know what it is because I know what's going to happen here, and I don't have to argue with you, and I don't have to tell you, and I don't have to convince you. I just keep it to myself, and I'm the only one that needs to know. But it's really exciting to have a secret like that, you know? So that's number 3. And living this way is super duper delicious and juicy. And it's just kind of like seduction. It's like you're being seduced and you're seducing your reality, and you know that it's coming, and it's yummy, delicious. Okay. So something that kind of accompanies you, this is like a check. Like if you're doing this stuff correctly, then you're going to find yourself in this state that I call answer mode. And basically that's characterized by, I know what I'm doing. So instead of walking throughout life and being like, am I doing it right? 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 Is it happening? Is it happening? Is it happening? Is it happening? Question mode. Instead of walking through life in question mode, you come into answer mode, which is this badass, I know what I'm doing, confident kind of attitude where I'm not asking what is happening, I'm deciding what is happening, and I'm fucking right about it. Freaking awesome. So that's check. And this is basically what it's like to live super consciously instead of unconsciously. Okay, so knowing these things, go back to what I said in the beginning of the video, and it's going to make sense. Like, listen to this video again if you need to. It's going to make sense that you're going to be from this, once you do these keys, you're going to be inspired to some kind of action. And that action is going to be a very different kind of action because it's like an action in flow and confidence from the state of being the person in the reality that you know that you want to be in. All right, this is going to be a very comprehensive video. So I'm going to explain a few more concepts that are really important and are going to help you timeline shift and quantum leap instantly, okay? So there's a few things that are really foundational here. One is your understanding of parallel realities. So nothing actually moves, nothing changes, right? We're not looking at one thing or one person or one situation morphing into something else. We're actually looking like what makes movement appear to be, movement, or what makes change appear to be change is the fact that you are shifting so quickly into multiple different realities, and then the combination of them all makes up what you call a timeline, right? And you experience time and space in that way. Okay, but what is important for you to understand as far as, how is it possible to just manifest your person to be whatever it is that you want them to be? Or how is it possible for you to manifest anything that you want, no questions asked, right? There's no limitations here. How is that possible? How is it possible to transcend time and space? Well, that's because there are infinite realities. So there's an infinite number of parallel realities that you are living now. There's an infinite number of parallel reality versions of you, and an infinite number of parallel reality versions of everyone that you know. And so if you want to shift into a different reality, that's exactly what you're doing. It has nothing to do with this reality because every reality is complete and whole all on its own, with no connection to any other. They're all completely independent. And so think of it like this. I've been describing this object for a while, and I think there's like a few objects like this that exist. But basically, this object, imagine it's like a puzzle. And when I think about, the three-dimensional representation of the flower of life, it kind of, to me, looks like it could be a puzzle like this. So basically, imagine that this puzzle is whole and complete, but only when every single component is there and in place. So it's constructed in such a way that if any one piece is missing or out of place, that the entire thing collapses. And so the presence of the whole creates the integrity of the entire reality. If you change one thing, it's no longer that reality. Now it's a completely different reality. Okay, so every shift in your state of being, every change in your belief system, every movement that you are going through, that you're witnessing, that you're experiencing, is effectively a completely new universe altogether. So this is really important when you're thinking about things that seem insurmountable to you, right? Oh my gosh, circumstances, blah, blah, blah. You got to understand this, okay? It is impossible. What you want is impossible from the reality where you don't have it. And what I mean is I'm also speaking in terms of state and consciousness, because that matters a lot, because that is, your consciousness is what is being pushed out into the screen of space and creating 3D, right? So there's really no difference between what's outside of you and what's inside of you, right? What you're consciously aware of being on the inside, and then what you're aware that you're experiencing on the outside is one and the same. It's not that something exists outside of you and then you're having a response to it. It's that it exists inside you first, and then you're seeing it outside of you, and then you're having a response to it. So let's say that you want to change your situation substantially, and let's say you want to do it instantly now. You want overnight results. You wouldn't think from the person that you are now. You wouldn't think from the reality that you're in now. And you're not going to think about anything in between this reality and the next reality. Although I'm saying all these things because everything that I just said is something that people want to do when they're thinking about getting a different outcome. The first thing you want to do is look at the circumstances, and then you want to look at, the thing that you want, and then you want to see what's the distance between the two, and what do I have to do in the middle to get the end result, right? That's not what we're going to do here. This reality right now that you're standing in is completely irrelevant, and including the version of you that you are witnessing now. The version of you that doesn't believe in it, the version of you that's trying to figure it out, the version of you that's probably having emotions, the version of you that in process, the version of you that's working on it, fixing, whatever, trying, right? All of this is irrelevant. All of these are impermanent states. It's just a state. And a state can shift like that. And you learn how to use this to your advantage and as it really is, like the truth of the matter, You're not a human being moving through time and space. You're a time traveler, and you're shifting timelines all the time. So here's how you approach that, given this, understanding. It's just like Neville Goddard said, you just go straight to your end. And when you understand that, it's completely impossible, it is impossible or improbable from this reality right now, that where it doesn't exist in this reality. But there's another reality where it's already happening now. It's already done now. That's a completely different reality. And you are the consciousness that can jump from one to the other. So that is all you do. Most people have not honed the ability to jump from one reality to the other deliberately in your conscious awareness, but all of the tips that I'm giving you in this video, presence, and all that other stuff, all of that is necessary in order to hone this ability to jump from timeline to timeline in your mind deliberately. Basically, manifesting, it's like you are experiencing a lucid dream, or you're experiencing a dream. Reality, what we are experiencing as 3D human reality, it is nothing more than a dream. Everything that you see, everything that you think is part of the illusion. You are not who and what you think that you are. So let's take, for example, people who have had near-death experiences, and when they exit their body and become aware that they've exited their body and they look at their body, they typically have the same sentiment, which is, oh, that is not me. So they look at the body that they've been in, right, on planet Earth, and they say, oh, that's not me. That's not my body. Like, they don't have any feeling or attachment to it because it's not them. And that's what I'm saying about, your ego, the part of you that you're experiencing that has human characteristics, thoughts, and emotions. That's not you. That's a character or an avatar. And it's part of the illusion. So everything that you're seeing is the matrix. It's the illusion, including your bodysuit, including your personality, including what you call intelligence or memory. None of those things are you. Everything is completely interchangeable here. And this is why you can occupy different states. And you can be and do and have whatever it is that you want. Because everything is interchangeable as long as you know how to navigate, right? Okay, so how do you navigate a matrix reality where everything is just part of the illusion, right? So you learn how to navigate not based on what you think is the logical thing, but you basically learn to navigate based on your own intuition, joy, inkling, feeling. That's how you learn to navigate. Because let me give an example. So there's like a million ways to do anything, right? There's like so many billionaires or millionaires out there, and they're all teaching different methods and believing in different things about how they got rich, how they got successful, how to deal with people, how to get results, etc. Right? So I love YouTube. I watch YouTube all the time. I research more than anyone that you know. There's always videos that look really catchy, appealing, oh man, that's the fucking answer. That's the thing. Click on that. Listen to that. Read about that. Learn that. And I have to remind myself that this is part of the illusion. We're all describing one thing. It's just there's one thing, and all that is one thing. Everything comes from nothing. Nothing comes from everything. What you're seeing is that there's an infinite number of parallel reality versions of Earth, and it's all an illusion. When you enter a reality, you enter it energetically. But once you do that, that reality has been formed and created. Reality forms and creates around you, around your awareness of being, what you're aware of, how you're aware of. That's reality will form around you. So if I decide that I am now looking through the eyes of a person who is a billionaire, right? So if I say, okay, that's who I am now. That's how I see the world. That's how I see myself. That's how I see my life. I am this. My reality will mold around me to make me a billionaire if I persist, as in if I truly believe it and do not conform to the illusion. Transcending the illusion is the same thing as transcending circumstances. If you can transcend the illusion, you can make anything that you want happen. You can jump to any timeline that you want. You can jump to any reality that you want. And to the degree that you're willing to know that what's outside of you is not real, that's the degree to which you can create a drastic change by not buying into it and by choosing to create something completely different, right? So there's like a lot of things in this reality that you would just accept as true, right? Like, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do this, you have to do that. It's this way, it's that way, it's this way, it's that way. No, that doesn't exist. Not only is there an infinite number of people who are all having, their own, obviously, experiences, and you could call it in the same world as you, but they're seeing it differently, they're experiencing it differently. The facets here are just make everything dramatically different. Now, there's nobody outside of you. It's all you. Everything is in your consciousness. So like, what does that mean? So like I used to think God state, like to describe God state to use, which is creator mode. So like if you're in God state, you're going to know how to create your reality, period. Okay. So that's the state that you want to be in. But I used to describe it as I know how to manifest everything in my reality down to the very last detail, easily and effortlessly. But I have actually shifted as far as like having a better idea now of like a better vantage point for God state. And the new vantage point for God state is I'm not inside a reality knowing how to manifest. I am actually creating reality. I am the reality. I'm outside. It's like I'm outside and I'm looking at this globe, the earth, let's say, and I am creating it on that level. Not I'm a little speck of dust inside the earth and I'm manifesting from that vantage point. No. I'm creating everything. So for me to say I know how to manifest is like dumb. That's child's play. That's nothing. No. It's all coming from me. I'm aware of that. I know that like everything. The weather. Frickin' economy, politics, all of it. There is no, oh, people are like this, oh, people are like that. There's nothing outside of this. So like you can create any type of world that you want with your belief system. You can say people are like this, people are like that, and you're going to get that out of the screen of space of reality is going to like reveal that to you, that you think people are jerks or that men are dogs or whatever it is that you believe. Are you willing to radically accept that there's no difference between what you're saying about reality and the reality that you're experiencing? Because when you realize that there is no separation and no gap, there's no person outside of you who's doing anything that you're not creating them to do. There's no news on the TV or weather that's doing anything that you're not creating it to do. And you create things to really wreak havoc and be chaotic when you don't know or don't take responsibility for the fact that you are creating your entire reality. The places where we tend to say, oh, like, yeah, we know that we can manifest our reality, but like we're not really applying it over here. Like we're not applying this in, world peace. We're not applying this in, people outside being jerks, or like We're not applying this in politics. We're not applying this in stocks. We're not applying this in economics. We're not applying this in taxes. Like, whatever it is that you've decided is out of your control is out of your control to the degree that you say it's out of your control. Like, you may or may not have heard my stories about when I turned a hurricane and dissipated another hurricane. I know that I did that. I knew that I did it the first time after it was all said and done. And I looked back in hindsight and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I figured out how I did it so that I could like replicate the process deliberately. And then when the next hurricane was coming, I just applied the same process on purpose and I knew what I was doing. And same thing, like, but I was even more specific the second time. So like the first time that I turned the hurricane, I just knew that this was not going to happen to me. So I said, not in my neighborhood. I said, not in my neighborhood. Yeah, sure, there's a hurricane, not in my neighborhood though. Okay. On the news, if you were watching the path of this hurricane, it took a sharp turn around my neighborhood and didn't hit my neighborhood. Like, it literally took a sharp turn and missed me exactly on the map. I'm not making this up. What ended up happening is that there was a lot of devastation in the places where it did hit. And so when the second hurricane came around, instead of turning it, I dissipated it. And so I did that on purpose. I thought about that. I knew my power. I knew what I could do. I knew, how to apply it. And I did it. And there's no difference between, manifesting anything versus manifesting anything else. It's all the same. The only thing that makes it different is how much of the illusion that you are buying into. And that begins with you buying into your own thoughts that are really thoughts of the ego that are not yours. So now do you really get a better grasp for why you really need to be acquainted with your true identity? Because if you're acquainted with the ego, limited human thinking mechanism as you're not going to be able to manifest, because that's not where the power is. It's something beyond words, something beyond logic. The ego is part and parcel with whatever reality that you're in. But you, consciousness, the observer, you can travel at any point in time to any reality just with your consciousness. The only thing that stops you from doing that is believing in the illusion. So believing in circumstances, right? So like, all you have to do is go to the reality where what you want exists now. It already is now, right? Like, okay, we're happily married right now with kids. We're happily married right now. That's your job. But if you're identified with ego, if you believe in the illusion, and if you're still identified with the 3D circumstantial world at all, then immediately what is going to happen is you're going to put the circumstance first, which is the same as you worshiping a false god, which is a very, very important thing to not do. There's only one God, only one. And in your reality, right, if you're seeing through your own eyes and you're experiencing a reality from your perspective, you're God in that reality, because there's nothing in that reality that exists that is not being experienced by you. If your consciousness wasn't there to witness it all, nothing else that you've witnessed, or the filter that you witness it through, none of it would be there. even your experience of other people, you can't even say that they exist outside of you because you've never experienced anyone or anything outside of you. You've never experienced anything at all if it wasn't coming through your own personal viewpoint. So essentially, if you pull the plug, it all collapses back into nothing because there's nothing to create the experience, right? So when you really fully take on the state of being, the perspective that I'm not inside this reality trying to manifest from within this reality, I'm actually outside of this reality and I'm looking in at this reality and I'm jumping from one reality to the next, right? Your consciousness can jump from one reality to the next. The only thing that is required is you have to leave behind everything that is commensurate with the reality that you would like to leave behind. You have to leave behind everything that comes with the ego's thoughts, the ego's limitations, the ego's feelings, the ego's stories. You have to be willing to let all those things go. And if you're not willing to let all those things go and learn how to surrender and dissipate them so that you can shift and jump, it just means that you are identified with being a limited human being and not identified with being a God in a God state, in a creator mode. So just get this straight. When you take a circumstance in your reality, any circumstance, and you believe that it has some power over you or that it's immovable or unchangeable, what you are saying is that that thing is God. That thing is your God in your reality instead of you. So you are worshiping a false God in that sense. When you identify yourself as being the God of your reality and you recognize that no circumstance has any power over you, this is when you'll be able to withdraw your focus from circumstances and focus your attention into the next reality that you want to jump into. So one exercise that you can do when you are feeling like circumstances have power over you is ask yourself, is this thing, whatever it is that thing God? The answer is going to be no. And I think that just helps to reorient yourself back into the belief system that is in accordance with these laws that we're learning about today. This is the difference between being a victim and being a creator in your reality. And this difference is what I tackle in Super Life. The identity. And identity is very, very interesting and ambiguous. It's interesting because you can talk about it with words, but words don't teach you how to implement. It's a different thing, right? So sometimes some words will work and other times they don't. There's something much deeper to this, which is why if you have presence, if you have learned some, alignment, presence helps a lot because that is who you really are. The feeling essence behind the logic, behind the thought, or under the logic, under the thought, the feeling essence of you, the observer, watcher, you, who is not having thoughts or judgments. That is who you really are. So identity is more about being able to know what is not you and being able to feel what is you. Identity is a feeling. If you identify as a human, you are going to be limited. So the better way to understand it is you're navigating through an avatar. And that avatar is subject to change. And as much as you change your avatar, that's how much you're going to change your reality. So you're changing your avatar and you're changing your reality for your entertainment. You're doing it for fun. All of this is for fun. Everything, every bit of it is for fun, right? And when you get stuck is when you're taking the illusion too seriously, right? So you can use this knowledge to your advantage by using it to remind yourself that everything is subject to change and that reality cannot dictate anything to you. When you really know that, you're not going to be triggered negatively, and you're going to remain surrendered and open to traveling into realities where what you want is already done on a multitude of levels, on a myriad of subjects, just as a kind of like flow in your life, that you're going to be like, oh, I'm just like lucky, or people just like me, or like whatever, you can manifest whatever you want. You can manifest a reality where everybody knows you, everybody likes you, everybody offers you things, everybody does special things for you. You're a VIP everywhere you go. You're always special. You're always loved. You're always the most beautiful person in the room. You're always the most intelligent, funny. You're the most popular girl, whatever. Yeah, you can manifest realities like that. You can also do the opposite. But if you can do like something shitty, you can also do the equal and opposite and more. You're not a god in training. You're not learning how to be anything here. You have access to infinite intelligence already now. You're not becoming, you're not learning, you're not growing. You are already all that is. You are already God. You are already complete. You already contain everything. That is already done. All you are doing is deciding where to have fun, how to have fun. That's what this is. It's all about fun. It's super impersonal. You're not a human, you're a god. You are the all that is. So no avatar can ever be you. And you need to know that if you want to live as a god, creating in your reality and letting things be light and easy and effortless and free and fun. Let things be light. Let it be light. Don't take anything too seriously. So if your person says horrible things to you, laugh it off. That's so cute. They need a nap. They're gonna really be regretting this tomorrow. Or whatever you choose to create there. Do you see how I can laugh it off because I know it's not true if I'm in God state, but if I'm in human avatar ego state, which means I'm identified with the limited ego, then I'm not going to be able to laugh it off. I'm going to be upset. And that is your first clue. That you are identified as a ego avatar, and that you forgot effectively in that moment who you really are, which is behind and completely detached from all of it. Reality has to respond to what you say. Whatever you, like, let's say, you can use anything to your advantage, right? So you can say, like, this is going to work out for me, like, even better because this thing happened, right? So, okay, you can manifest a reality where you're really, really nice to everyone and do great things for everyone, and everybody shits on you and nobody gives a fuck. And in the end, you're just like the underdog because you're too nice. And you can manifest a reality where the opposite is true, that you're just like, you've always been supported and loved, and that's all you ever know. Some people, that's their life. And you can manifest a reality where the shittier that you treat people, like, the more that they like you and want to do things for you and are obsessed with you. Like, I've literally, like, if you're actually paying attention to all the science, the research, the psychology, it is so funny how everything contradicts itself, because none of that shit is real. If you believe in a lucky charm that I'm gonna give you because I'm telling you that your person is gonna propose to you if you wear this lucky charm for the next 10 days, if you believe that, really, without question, it's going to happen. I can make up anything I want to make you believe that. But what I'm trying to show you is how to how to get into contact with your own power so that you know how to navigate this for yourself. So that you don't have to take anyone else's word for it. Only listen to what you're drawn to. The feeling, the impetus, or whatever knowing, gut instinct, gut feeling that you have. Sometimes we're so disconnected, we can't feel. And we just can't get disconnected from reality. In those moments, you have to do everything from a purely mental place. And you just know, like, okay, well, this is good for me. This is a good idea for me. This is a good, healthy, loving choice for myself. And you go in that direction to support your goals in a more like robotic manner. But if you foster your self-love, if you're fostering like your own growth, and you're not growing, right? Because everything's already done. So there's no movement. You're not becoming something. You already are. But what I'm saying is, if you're aiming to be a God in form, then you're going to find yourself being kinder and nicer to yourself. And same with everybody else, right? Not because you have to, but because when you know that you're the God of your reality, when you know you're creating it all, you know that everything is going to reflect you. So you know that if you're like an asshole, you're going to get more of that. So why would you introduce that? So if all of this explanation helped you understand, how to quantum leap, how to navigate reality, how to shift instantly, comment below, let me know like what you got out of this, like what your takeaways were, what you learned, maybe if you have any questions. But basically, you just skip where you are now, this reality now, the version of you that you're experiencing now. You skip all of that, and you just know that there's a completely different reality, and you don't have to know any of the steps in between. You don't have to know anything. In fact, this is really the beauty of being a time traveler and knowing that you can access anything at any time. So if I don't have a piece of information right now, I just know it's going to come to me, and by virtue of me saying that, it will happen. Now imagine that you just make that the way that you do things in life. Now you've set it up so that whatever you need to know is going to come to you at the time that you need to know it. That's it. It's so simple. Rather than trying to be the avatar, figuring shit out. That's a very arduous, grueling existence. And most people are doing that, right? Which is why we're having this conversation. Just know there's no time. It doesn't have to take any time. It's not going to make any sense. It's completely impossible in this reality. But there's another reality where it's already done. And you just go to that reality. There's a wrong way to do this, right? You can follow the instructions and entertain your dream, entertain your end, go to the end, imagine it, try to feel it real. But there's a very distinct way to access the reality of your choosing. And you'll know that you've accessed it when you are experiencing, you are feeling the reception and the fulfillment of what you're looking for. Any other state, if you're not actually experiencing what it is actually like to have the thing that you're asking for, then you're not in the reality where you're going to receive it. So sometimes you can just know something and you don't really have to feel anything about it. You just know it and it will happen. Right? So there's ways to bypass emotions. Emotions are just part of the avatar. They tell you what you're believing. So they tell you what is to come. But you can transcend that, if you know how to transcend the illusion, if you know what's you and what's not you, you don't have to be ruled by your emotions, and your emotions don't have to manifest in your reality. You can literally choose what manifests in your reality and which emotions are going to manifest in your reality and which ones aren't going to make any difference. You can do that on purpose, just by saying so, just by knowing so. I don't want you to accidentally miss the golden nugget that I just gave you. So I'm going to say, pause this and write down what I just said about emotions, because most people fall victim to whatever they are feeling. They simply believe whatever it is that they're feeling, whether it be good or bad. But that is pure unconsciousness. That is like, you're not in the driver's seat if you're simply blindly believing whatever it is that you're thinking, feeling, or experiencing. So you have the ability to decide which emotions you're going to get behind and believe, and which ones are going to manifest in your reality and which ones are not. Write that down. I know that I don't have to have any information about how I'm going to be a billionaire tomorrow, let's say, how I'm going to have the money tomorrow, how I'm going to have whatever it is that I want. I know that I don't need to know. I don't need to know. That's not my business. My job is go to that reality where what I want is, embody it, feel it real, experience the reception of it now to the best of my ability, have fun with it, not to make it happen, but for the purpose of experiencing that fulfillment that I want. The better that you can do that, the faster and better that what you want will come. And like I said, there's like basically anything that you know is going to manifest. So anything that you define in your reality, if you say like, this is why like I teach very fundamental like rules that you guys should be always practicing when it comes to manifesting, because if you've got these like fundamental concepts down, then it's going to be very difficult for you to go wrong, right? So like one fundamental concept is part of what we've looked at in this video, which is like there's an infinite number of parallel realities with no connection to any other. There's no time, space, or reality. There's nothing apart from me. So there's no opposing forces. There's nothing happening outside of me. There's no time. And there's infinite possibilities that exist, that all exist right now on top of each other right now. I don't have to know how to make a thing come to pass. I just occupy the state of that reality, and then I know that it will come to pass, period. And that is how all things are created. If I know that I'm getting a cookie tomorrow, I don't have to feel what it feels like to get a cookie today, because I know it. It's simple. It's easy. I don't have to go through that. Like, some things are going to be like that, where I don't have to feel it real. The feeling will come later. Like, if feeling really was what manifested in your reality versus like your conscious thinking mechanism, then it would look very different. Like, we live in a reality where babies cry, and that's how they get nurtured. So that right there is like inconsistent with your feelings manifesting your reality, right? If you're like really, really hungry, you haven't eaten in 3 days, super, super hungry, well, you're not going to be able to attract a meal if you're hungry. But we attract meals when we're hungry all the time. Why? Because we know that we're going to attract the meal, period. You just have to believe it. You just have to know it. You just have to choose that. And, you know, I've had people coming to me for years and years, like, who listen to me, you know, and they want to know how to do this shit. And if you are not able to do it, get closer. Continual reinforcement, dedication, commitment, get into like the community, like talk to people that want what you want, that are doing what you're doing to get it. Talk to people who are helping you, supporting you in your goals, and believing in what you believe in, and are, you know, positively reinforcing you. You have to completely support yourself 100% towards whatever goal that you have, whatever it is that you want. Back yourself up 100%. When you see yourself backing yourself up 100% and going all in, not because you're desperate, but because you know that this is going to work. Huge difference there, by the way. If you want to waste money, then be desperate and throw your money around. If you want to succeed and get what you want and learn how to manifest, spend your money because you know that this shit works and that it's going to work for you and that you're going to make that money back times a million. That's when you see the level of belief that you have in yourself, that you're backing yourself up like that, it's just this virtuous cycle that makes you all the more confident. And confidence is what manifests. Confidence, conviction. If you listen to any great master, listen to the conviction in their voice. The teachers who actually teach and have big followings and impact, they have conviction. They are confident. They believe in what they're doing. And I'm not saying that anybody exists outside of you, because they don't. But you, by virtue of being all that is, give yourself infinite number of options as far as possibilities for this reality, possibilities for who you can be, how you can think. So other people, quote, other people outside of you, or non-player characters, whatever, they just show you more possibilities. They show you how you can be more, attractive, funny, wealthy, how you can think differently, like whatever it is. If it's out there, if someone else is manifesting it, if anybody else on the planet has it, that's just giving you an example of a thing that you can choose for yourself. You don't have to know the first thing about how they got it. You don't have to know anything about that, period. So know that you don't have to know, because whatever you need to know, you're going to know. And know that you don't have to know how to make something happen, because it's just going to happen. It's going to come to you. And it's going to be fun and it's going to be great. Reinforce that. Keep coming back to this. Because once you fix yourself on a mental level, apply what I'm saying mentally. Make a list, repeat it, right? Follow directions on a mental level. You're setting yourself up so that the rest of your experience is going to be a result of those new belief systems that you're putting into place. I don't need to know anything. It doesn't matter if I don't know. I'll know what I need to know when I need to know it. And that means what you need to know is going to come to you when it needs to come to you. That means I don't have to know how to solve this problem. That has nothing to do with I know it's going to be done. I know it's going to come to me. Okay. I know it's solved. Okay. That's it. Literally that. When you're understanding all of these things to the point that you're able to do the practical application steps, what does it look like? So of course it looks like a lot of different things, but there's some themes there. So first of all, of course, alignment is when you are backing yourself up 100%. Your words, your thoughts, and your actions all align. And you also can feel in alignment with what you want, and so you move forward in that feeling, or you move forward knowing it doesn't matter what you think or what you feel, it's going to happen no matter what inner or outer circumstances, but you are backing yourself up 100%. And another theme is detachment. Detachment meaning it doesn't matter what you're seeing inside or outside, you're not giving it any weight. You're not believing in the circumstance. You're believing in your state of being, and your state of being is what you say that it is. The future is what you say that it is. The reality is what you say that it is, and you are what you say that you are, and everything else is what you say that it is. So practical application steps are going to look and feel like a detached state from you. So for instance, one question that I get from a lot of people is like, okay, well, how do you talk to other people about your manifestation? And when you truly believe in your manifestation and you're actually aligned with it, you're not going to have any trouble with this, because in your mind, it actually is happening. It actually is coming. It actually is unfolding. It actually is already done. So when you truly believe that, it's not going to be hard to speak that way about it, even if it's in a very general sense. You just, when you're believing it, when you're aligned, when you're backing yourself up about it, because you've got yourself, you've done the inner work to align yourself, and you're identified with the true you, not the fake, circumstantial, illusion, ego version of you, you're going to be able to say, yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's whatever. And no matter what anyone else says or thinks around you, it's not going to bother you, because that's just a circumstance too. That person that you're talking to is just part of the illusion too. Everything is just part of the illusion. So when you know this, you will be detached, and you will be able to move forward in flow and follow your joy from a place of inspiration without getting hung up on circumstances, right? Because the only thing that keeps you from following your joy, being in your joy, being aligned, and being in flow is whatever it is that you think is in the way, or whatever it is that you're attached to that's bothering you in the circumstantial world. That's all what's tripping up your flow. But being in flow is what allows you to cross the bridge of events from one reality to another. So the more that you're detached from the illusion because you're not believing in the illusion, you understand that circumstances don't matter, only state of being matters, the more that your actions and your embodiment are going to reflect just that. Knowing all of these things on a mental level and continuing to study and continuing, showing up for your continual reinforcement just assures that your consciousness stays expanded and continues to expand, instead of you forgetting who you are, shrinking back into the ego limited human part of you who forgets how to apply these teachings. If what you want is dramatic advancement at lightning speed, I have the sexy retreat going on right now, and there's more to that than meets the eye. I'm basically teaching you how to reach a supernatural state that I call bubble love, that does all the work for you and more, using an unconventional method that I cannot teach on YouTube because they would definitely cancel me. But this is a method that I have used for myself. I'm teaching you my own regimen, how I achieve this supernatural state so that you can do it too. Plus, it's improved because I've had years to improve on it. We've only started one day, and it was fucking phenomenal and blew us all away. That link is going to be in the description below.